Hello guys, and we're here today with another very interesting deck profile. We're here today with some Bujins, yes, Bujins, because I had a subscriber request it, and again, if you request a deck profile, I'll do it, just as I am going to be doing another Shaddoll deck profile, because somebody wanted to see Tarote Shaddolls. So, here we are with Bujins, and I do not think this deck can make a comeback, as it is a somewhat competitive deck. Really, this deck has seen its time, because this format is just way too fast. And unless you open up like crazy good, you get your Starlight Road, you get your Vandies, you go to match a Kaiser, and then like a Turtle and a Hare in the grave, you're kind of screwed. And a Crane in hand still, yeah, that's kind of crazy. Not gonna happen. And have that Yamato, of course, because this is a strong man build. You're summoning out Yamato and then defending him for your life, and then you're gonna try to make Susan, and then try to protect him for life. And that's pretty much the playstyle of this deck. This deck, though, does have a lot of very interesting combos, so let's just go right into the deck profile. So first we have Yamato. During your end phase, add a Bujin card from your deck to hand, and then send one card from your hand to graveyard. Total: if a card targets a Bujin, negate it. If target a Beast Warrior Bujin, Yamato, and it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects once that turn. If you control a Beast Warrior type Bujin monster, you can target a face-up card and destroy it, great against Pendulums or any face-up Floodgate. And then Crane is an Honest in the hand, just be able to drop him and double his attack. And then of course you got the one young instant fusion to summon out Norden to get back a monster and make an XZ play. And then Rogeki, Soul Charge to get back on Norden or just set up a really good field. Card of Demise, and this is why we're not running a lot of monsters, because if you run monsters that don't do anything in the graveyard, such as Crane or a lot of the other Bujin monsters, you draw into dead cards, and Card of Demise doesn't work because you have two monsters in your hand, or you have one monster in your hand that you can't summon. So we're not running a lot of monsters, so that way we can use Card of Demise. Pot of Cupidity is another card in this deck that I would recommend running, because being able to draw two cards is definitely very useful, and it still allows you to special summon, still allows you to do something else, but of course you have to banish 10 cards, so that's kind of costly. Upstart is Upstart, Foolish is Foolish, just set up our grave, set up our hand, more consistency, along with the 3 Pot of Duality. This deck does not special summon a lot, so it's definitely useful. Twin Twister, try to get rid of our opponent's back row, so that way our back row stays alive, so that way we have our Starlight Road, so that way we have our Goes in the Match and our Vandies and our Kaisers. Of course, you can send any of these 6 cards to the graveyard. Of course, Kaiser Coliseum is actually pretty decent and can save you and allow you to do a lot of stuff, because if you control Yamato, your opponent cannot control more monsters than you, and you only control one monster, so they can only control one monster, so definitely very useful. This is our Searcher for Yamato. We're running it at 3 because you definitely want to see Yamato, but it only adds Beast Warrior type monsters, and this is the only Beast Warrior, so if you see Yamato some other way, you're going to have a dead Tenki. And then we have 2 Starlight Road, 1 Vanities, 2 Goes in Match, and then 4 Solemns, just to negate stuff to protect our back row and prevent special summons and prevent our opponent from summoning out more monsters than us. And honestly, Goes in Match is a great card this format, great against Cosmos, great against Monarchs, great against Draco Pals. And that is it for this deck. Again, in Strongman, you summon this guy out, and then you protect him, you get your Turtles, you get your Hares, you get your Cranes, and you put them in the graveyard or wherever they need to be. And then for the extra deck, we have the Norden, the Starlight, the Stardust Dragon that you can summon out with Starlight Road, the Utopia, the Lightning, because he's a great monster just to make, and I honestly recommend taking out this guy, Bujin Ki Amaterasu, which is good, but you're not going to get out 3 level 4s in this deck, and putting in a C39, so that way you can use this guy's effect twice. Bujin T Kakasuchi, probably not going to make, probably not, because if you're going to XZ summon, you're going to either make Utopia the Lightning, or you're going to make Susan, so you can search out a Crane. And of course, we also have Dark Rebellion in there, and then Susan can either send a card, you could be a Lavelvel Chain, send a card to graveyard, or add a card to your hand. And then Brotherhood of the Firefist Tiger King, which really doesn't make sense in this deck. The way it's built requires Beast Warrior type monsters, 2 of them, so you get out 2 Yamatos. You can't even do that, because you can only control 1 Yamato, so he's not doing anything in this deck. 101 is 101. Castell is 101, it's not 101, he's just another card that can get rid of cards on the field. And then Tsukiyomi is actually pretty decent in this deck. Just being able to draw into 2 more cards is practically a pot of greed. Just get rid of like a hair or turtle in your hand, draw into 2 more cards. Very useful. And then Daiguster Emerald is great if you start running out of Yamatos. Put them back in the back deck. And then Abystrel is of course Abystrel. And if you want to run Constellar Omega, it will not be a bad idea, because he can make himself and other Constellar monsters unaffected by spell trap cards that turn, which is very decent. And he's a 24 beater, which is actually pretty decent. And that is it for this deck. Again, like I said, this deck honestly isn't very competitive. It isn't a very strong deck. I mean, you can take it to locals, try it, and have fun with the deck, but if you take it to regionals, you can have a little bit of a pain. And of course, you will see all the duels on ranked, and it's nonetheless, Bujin's is still fun. It's still a fun deck to play, but it's not a deck that's going to be winning very often unless you open up extremely good, because the format has just, this deck has just been power creeped. It's kind of sad, but it has been power creeped. Other things that I could recommend running in this deck is Brilliant Fusion. I did not try out a build. I thought about it for a bit, but did not test a build where I ran Brilliant Fusion to get a double normal summons, and I didn't know how that would work, if that would be worth it. It would help with being able to make your XZs, but yeah. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Again, this is what it is. Bujins are Bujins, but hey, they can do well this format if you draw lucky, and if you put the time and effort into testing the deck and making it and refining it. This deck could probably serve you well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Stay tuned for some duels with this deck, and then Shaddolls for Thursday and Friday. So see you guys later.